How do you turn a woman on? How do you get her excited for you, wanting you, feeling attraction for you? Most guys try to win a woman's affection through gifts or compliments or showing her how nice and agreeable they are. But the reality is that women are turned on by feeling an emotional experience that triggers desire in them. Well, in this video, I'm gonna give you 5 words that you can say to a woman that turn her on. Hi, my name is Bobby Rio, and I've seen guys struggle for years because they don't quite grasp how attraction and desire work. They don't realize that it's a reaction, it's an instinct, it's something that kicks in that she can't quite control. And when you try to control that through things like complimenting her or doing her favors or trying to entertain her, it actually often has the opposite effect. So the first thing that's important to understand before I give you these 5 words is, what are the feelings that actually turn a woman on? Because when you understand the feelings, you'll understand why the 5 words that I'm gonna give you work. So what are the feelings that you want to elicit in a woman? Because it's not niceness, it's not compatibility. So what are women turned on by? They're turned on by challenge. I've talked about this idea that women crave a mental challenge. Women are also turned on by intimacy. Anytime you create an intimate vibe with a woman, it's a natural turn on. Tension, right? We talk about sexual tension, but anytime that there's an element of tension when you're with somebody, you feel turned on. You begin to desire. It's why I often say, and my friend Chris often says, that anytime a man and a woman, right, if they get in an elevator together and they kind of stand close, there's a spark of tension that creates an attraction, right? You don't have to do anything. It's natural. It's an instinct. And that's how the words that I'm going to go over work, right? Another thing that women in relation to challenge is ambiguity, right? Ambiguity, when a woman isn't sure what something means, it creates a challenge, it creates tension, and it draws her in. So the words that we're going to talk about today, the 5 words that turn women on, are words that fulfill these, that they create these emotions in a woman. And the great thing about the words are, as we'll go through them, they're very simple words that you can begin introducing into conversations immediately. So let's get into the first word. The first word that turns a woman on is the word no. I often say that the most attractive word that you can say to a woman is no. And why is it so attractive? Well, we talked about the feelings you want to listen, right? Tension, challenge. An attractive quality of a man that I've mentioned in other videos is asserting personal boundaries so that you show her that you respect yourself. And when a woman sees that you respect yourself, it turns her on. So what do I mean by saying no? Saying no could be in relation to when she asks you to do something unreasonable. Maybe you're at a bar and you walk over to a cute girl and you want to talk to her and you say, hey, what's up? And you start talking, and 5 seconds into it, she goes, hey, buy me a drink. And the average nice guy, because he's so happy to be talking to her and because he thinks buying her a drink will win him her affection, is going to immediately go to the bartender, what do you want? Whereas a woman will actually be more turned on by that guy that goes, no, we just started talking. Let's talk first, and if it goes well, I'll buy you a drink, right? That's more attractive to a woman than the guy who immediately turns to the bartender and buys her a drink. Same thing when a woman is trying to get things, right? A lot of the guys that are stuck in the friend zone with a woman are very often afraid to say no. So she'll say, hey, can you come over and help me move furniture? Hey, can you drive me here? Hey, can you help me with this? And they're always like, yeah, because they think, again, that it's going to make her like him. But the reality is it makes her see him as somebody that she can take advantage of. Whereas if you were to say to her, hey, listen, I'd love to hang out, but I'm really not in the mood to, build a new wall in your room, or I'm not in the mood to move heavy furniture, but I'd love to hang out with you. that's way more attractive to a woman, right? That ability to say no. So the next word that we're going to talk about that turns a woman on is the word sexy. And we talked about this idea of intimacy and tension. Well, the word sexy creates intimacy and it creates tension, but you got to use it the right way. Because if you just walk up to a woman or you're on a date with a woman and 10 seconds into the date you say, "You're really sexy," it comes across as almost not only disingenuous a little bit, but it's also like a little too much, and it has the opposite effect. There definitely is a time, maybe when you're back at your place and you're with her and you tell her how sexy she is, but what I'm talking about is slipping the word in, because this one word differentiates a platonic conversation from a flirtatious conversation. You're not going to use the word sexy talking to somebody you're not interested in, right? It just doesn't happen. It's a word that signifies interest, but you want to do it in a way that's not so aggressive. So one of the things that I tell guys or I recommend clients is slip it in a way that builds some tension and then releases. So an example might be like, "Hey, you have a really sexy elbow," right? And you wait, "You have a really sexy elbow." And that pause is like she's waiting for you to say breasts or legs or smile. And then you say elbow, which diffuses a little bit, but you threw the word sexy into the conversation. You can say something like, "You have a sexy overbite. You have a sexy earlobe," right? Because you're bringing that tension of the word sexy, but then you're diffusing it with something she's not expecting, right? She's not expecting you to say you have a sexy earlobe or you have a sexy overbite. So you're not creating so much tension that things get weird. But on the other hand, you brought that intimacy into the conversation. Because again, you're not going to say, if you're sitting to one of your guy friends, you're not going to go, "You have a sexy earlobe," or "You have a sexy overbite," right? It's something you only say to somebody that you're interested in romantically or sexually. So let's get into the next word. The next word is a fun word, right? Because one of the things that turns women on is fun, is playfulness, is flirtatiousness. So the word is trouble. And I can remember back in college, there was this girl, Ashley, that a lot of my friends were into. And this one guy, another friend of mine, James, who none of us really expected him to get her. He was the one who wound up with her, and they're actually married now with kids and everything like that. And one of the things I noticed he did really early on with her was he gave her the nickname Trouble, and he would always call her Trouble. And the reason that it works is because a couple reasons, actually. One is that it's a little challenging, it's a little playful, and it also signifies a sort of you and me vibe. When you nickname a girl, there's a saying, "He who names owns." And when you give her a nickname, especially something a little playful like "You're Trouble," "I'm going to call you Trouble," and then what happens is it creates that you and me vibe, because she's going to say, "Why do you call me that?" And you can just tell her things about, well, the way you walk or this or that, I can just tell you're trouble. And it creates that flirtatiousness that turns women on. Women are turned on, like I said, by intimacy. And anything you can say to a woman that creates a sense of intimacy between you will turn her on, which is why words like trouble work. Another one that works is calling a woman little. And this relates to something based on evolutionary psychology, right? Where men are seen as dominant, big, strong, masculine, whereas women are, seen as the weaker sex. And of course, in like the job market and all that stuff, women want to be equal. But in the realm of courtship and intimacy, they like taking on that more feminine role. So if you're talking to a woman and you say, "You're so little, you're just a little girl," and that creates that intimacy, right? The minute you say that, even though it's a sort of an innocent word like little, it has a very flirtatious undertone to it. And you're also signifying like, "I'm bigger than you, I'm more masculine." Now, I'm gonna warn you, you don't say it in a patronizing way. This isn't about going, "You're little, you're just a little girl." It's about saying it in a flirtatious way. And one thing I've noticed, and this is something that I'd say over the years, almost every girl, when we initially hooked up or started hanging out, there'd always be a moment where they would take off their high heels and they would kind of look up at me and show me that they're little, right? Because that's feminine. That's what they're doing. When women want to turn you on, they accentuate their femininity. So when you call her little, you're actually validating her femininity in the right context, right? We're not talking about belittling her with the word little. We're talking about it in terms of the physical context of you're a little girl, you're so little, come here, right? It's an intimate word. So the next word is the F word. And the F word is friend, right? This is a fun word to use because we talk about the feelings that you want to create, and one of them is challenge, the mental challenge. What does this guy think of me? What does he want? And let's say you're doing all these other things, right? You've used the word sexy and you're calling her trouble and little, and now there's this flirtatious vibe, and then you throw the word out like, yeah, I want to introduce, you're such a cool friend. I gotta introduce you to somebody. And now her mind is like, friend, he's calling me sexy and we have this vibe, and now he just said friend. And that uncertainty, that mental challenge is actually very, very addicting to a woman. I talk about that all the time, is that anytime you introduce a mental challenge to a woman, you get her attention. And if you think about, if you've ever been in that situation where things are going well with a woman and she throws that word friend out, but she's also flirting with you and sending you these mixed signals, it kind of draws you in a little bit more. And it makes you wonder what's going on here, right? And that's what this word friend does to her. It brings out her instinct to chase you. So when you understand why these words work, you can start to understand other words that fulfill it, right? I only gave you 5 here because I didn't want to fill this board up with hundreds of words. But when you start thinking like, what are things that I can say that are going to trigger this instinct in her to either chase or to be turned on or to be attracted? And if you need some examples of words, a good friend of mine, Rob Judge, who's also a coach, you might have seen him in some of my other videos, he put together a PDF with about 75 of the words that he consciously brings into conversations. He calls them trigger words. And I'm going to put a link to it below if you want to download it and start experimenting with some words that turn women on, some words that you can say that elicit this instinct to chase, to feel desire for you. Because let's face it, right? What most guys do doesn't work. Being the nice guy, trying to win her affection with favors or show her how compatible you are with her, that's not going to work. Whereas hitting on these feelings in her through subtle and innocent words is way, way more effective. So if you like this video, leave me a comment below. Let me know what you'd like to see me cover. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future videos, and hit like so I know you want more topics like this.